Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. 2 oil tankers have been hit by explosions in the Gulf of Oman. Taiwan's state oil refiner says one of them was a suspected torpedo attack. 44 people were evacuated from both ships. 23 were on board the Front Altair, owned by Norway's Frontline company, and 21 were on the Kokuka Courageous, sailing under a Panama flag. It comes just a month after 4 oil tankers were targeted off the United Arab Emirates. On Twitter, Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif said the latest incident happened as Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was meeting the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, adding suspicious doesn't begin to describe what likely transpired this morning. The attacks could also escalate tensions between the US and Iran. The Supreme Leader told the Japanese Prime Minister President Trump isn't capable of holding an honest exchange.
ما معتقدیم که از طریق مذاکره با آمریکا هیچ مشکلی حل نخواهد شد. آمریکایی‌ها بیشترین دشمنی رو که می‌توانستن با ما بکنن کردن و دارن ادامه میدن. مذاکره زیر فشار رو هیچ ملت آزادی قبول نمی‌کنه.
In the UK, Boris Johnson has come up trumps in the first round of the Conservative Party leadership contest and bid to be Prime Minister.
Brexit is unstoppable.
The former Foreign Secretary secured the most support with 114 votes. Jeremy Hunt was second with 43. 3 contenders were knocked out, leaving 7 people in the race. The next ballot will be held on Tuesday. Police have defended their actions following violent clashes in Hong Kong. Tens of thousands of protesters staged a demonstration to prevent the second reading of a controversial extradition bill. Authorities condemned the behavior of what they described as a hostile crowd. 11 people were arrested and 22 officers were injured.
We try our best to avoid confrontation, to let them express their view. Even they occupy the main thoroughfare of Hong Kong. Not until in the field court that they start to use weapons to charge our cordon lines that we have to respond.
But activists criticized police for using extreme force, saying they fired rubber bullets, tear gas and pepper spray at people who are trying to protest peacefully.
We think that they're trying to oppress our rights of expressing our opinion and actually oppressing the freedom.
Dozens of police officers have been injured in the state of Tennessee following a fatal shooting there. Violence erupted after US Marshals shot and killed a man in Memphis who was wanted on numerous warrants. His death triggered clashes, forcing officers to call riot police for backup. The number of people murdered in Mali earlier this week has been revised down. Initially, officials said the bodies of 95 people had been found after attackers raided a Dogon village. The government now says at least 35 people were killed, and the previous figure included those who were missing. The United Nations Security Council has been told more needs to be done to prevent rival ethnic killings.
Le cycle infernal de la violence qui se poursuit doit être arrêté au risque que chacun soit tenté de se faire justice lui-même. C'est le lieu de souligner l'importance de la lutte contre l'impunité.
Heavy rain and flooding across several provinces in southern China continue to take their toll. Dozens of people have been killed and many more are still missing. China's Disaster Reduction Committee says more than 7,000 houses have collapsed and more than 300,000 people have been evacuated from flooded areas. Direct economic losses are estimated to be at $1.4 billion. Amanda Knox, who was convicted and then acquitted of manslaughter following the death of the British student Meredith Kercher, has returned to Italy for the first time since she was freed in 2011. The American was 20 years old when she was sentenced to 26 years in prison. She served 4 years before being released after multiple appeals and trials. Ahead of her trip, she said she was nervous about returning. She's there to speak at a criminal justice festival and will appear on a panel called Trial by Media. And finally, you may have heard the phrase built like a tank. Well, a Russian motor enthusiast has turned a car into just that. And it's not just any car, it's a Bentley Continental GT. It's been fitted with tank treads, and incredibly, it works. Nicknamed Ultra Tank, it took 9 months to build and reaches a top speed of 31 miles per hour. The creators are hoping to be able to double that speed with further alterations in the future. And that's your international news around the world in 5.